What up? What up? What up? What up? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here and we are live for another day in the life of the Darion Hopkins Show. And I am your host, Darion of the Darion Hopkins Show. Today is Thursday, June 8th, 2023. And I am happy to do another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. We have a few things that we definitely have to cover here, and it's going to be a lot of talk. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a lot of talk, and we have a lot of things that we really got to get involved here and get intact with. For some reason, I don't know why my brightness is like not understanding why I'm so dark when I have all these lights on. It doesn't make any sense. I gotta get me some better lighting. Gotta get me some better lighting some way and somehow. So, but before we get into anything, make sure y'all come on in, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the Darion Hopkins Show. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. I am live on my personal page as well, which is the Sonny Hopkins, which is my other nickname that I have. But we're live on there as well. And we are live on Twitter, and we are live on my other Facebook page, which is at the D Hopkins Show. So we're live on all those social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. That's what we're live on. And the next thing that we're actually live on is we won't be live on, but the audio podcast will be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So make sure y'all go check it out and leave us a review for all the podcasts that we do right here at the Darion Hopkins Show. But make sure y'all go check out SeatGeek.com for all your sports live events, concerts, any live event that you want to go to. Make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code DHopkins and get $20 off your first purchase there. So make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use that promo code DHopkins. And anybody want to get into the betting world, if you want to get into the online casino world, or you just want to get into the sports book world of sports betting, make sure you go to betus.com and check the website out, or you go to the link in my description and you can receive 125% of your sports book upon your initial deposit using my special offer that's in the description there. So I have to get into it, man. I have to get into a lot of stuff, man. We have a few topics that we had from the NBA and the NFL, but AEW came on yesterday, and I wanted to talk about a little bit more about AEW. But unfortunately, I didn't watch it last night because we were watching Game 3 of the NBA Finals. So, with that being said, I was not able to, actually watch AEW last night. But RC Covers, what's going on, brother? What's going on? I don't understand why my lighting is so dark. I never understood it, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But we will fix it. We'll figure it out. See if we can fix the brightness or something of that nature when it comes to the lighting. I just never understood why it's like that. But hey, I take it I take it for what it is, and we just gonna go with the punches here. Well, we're gonna go with the first game, the first topic, right off the bat. Y'all know what it is. The NBA Finals Game 3 was played last night. And shout out to everybody that was in the chat yesterday. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. Yes, my Heat culture did not win. My Heat culture definitely did not win. But it's all right. It's okay that they didn't win. It's completely okay that they didn't win. So I'm gonna say this, man. I don't know what happened to Miami in the third quarter, but we're going to get more into that. But we want to break down everything else that happened in that game. So the Nuggets has won Game 3 of the NBA Finals, 109-94. Denver leads the series 2-1 with still a second game in Miami. So when it comes down to all of this, it was a great game for the breakdown and analysis when it comes to Jokic and Jamal Murray. Christian Braun came off the bench and played well. because Jokic had 32 points. He was 12 of 21 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, with 21 rebounds and 10 assists. Another triple-double, his third triple-double of these playoffs so far for Nikola Jokic. And then you had Jamal Murray with 34 points, 12 of 22 from the field. He was 0 for 1. I'm sorry, 3 of 6 from the three-point line, 10 rebounds and 10 assists. So that was, of course, your two stars setting up themselves to be great in a game 3. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry, but I think that's what it was. The fact that, I think it's the lighting on my webcam. I don't know what it is. It might be the lighting on my webcam. I don't know. But if you look at it from an aspect into Christian Brown, he pronounces it as Brown, but I pronounce it as Braun because that's how it's spelled. Braun. That's not pronounced as Brown. I'm sorry to say, it's just not. But Christian Braun, 15 points, 7 of 8 from the field, over 1 for 3, but he did have 4 rebounds. So those 3 was the main factors, statistically wise, for the Denver Nuggets. Then you have Miami with Jimmy Butler having 28. He had a quiet 28, but you see that he was getting to his spots. He was making his shots. 11 of 24 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. I think that's where he only lacked at. Bam Adebayo with 22 points, 7 of 21 from the field, 17 rebounds for Bam Adebayo. So for the Denver Nuggets, they shot pretty effectively from the field. They didn't really shoot well from the three-point line. If you look at it from Denver, they was 51.2% from the free throw line. And it was, 20, not the free throw line, from the field. I'm sorry, 51.2 from the field, 27.8% from the three. And it was 81% on the free throw line because they was getting a lot of points at the free throw line with some ill-advised fouls that the ref was calling. But the Miami Heat didn't shoot well all night. They just didn't. They just didn't shoot well all night. From the field, they shot 37%. You're not going to beat the Denver Nuggets team shooting 37%. It got to be higher than that. 31.4% from the three. A little bit better than Denver, but not as great. If you get what I'm saying, it wasn't great of an actual 3-point percentage. 78.9% from the free throw line was okay. They got to the free throw line a little bit more, but hey, but this is the stat that I circled on my. These are the stats this is the stat that circled up on my line when I saw this. And Denver had 14 turnovers last night. But wait, it's more. They had 14 turnovers last night. Miami Heat only had 4. Miami Heat only had 4 turnovers all night, and you lost the game. I'm confused here. You took care of the basketball, but the difference is you wasn't making shots. That was the problem with Miami. Miami has to make shots. I don't care if it's a 2-pointer. I don't care if it's a 3-pointer. And I think they went back to what they know instead of attacking like I thought they would. They didn't attack enough for me. They didn't get this Denver team in foul trouble. They didn't do that. But at the same time, Miami did get some ill-advised calls too. Denver got some ill-advised calls. But in the same token, if you look at it, 14 turnovers for Denver in game 3, only 4 for Miami, and Miami still lost this game. That means that you was not shooting well. You wasn't taking quality shots. And defensively, what can you really do? Defensively, y'all went back to what y'all did in game 1 instead of doing what y'all did in game 2. It didn't make no adjustment. That's what happened. But Murray and Jokic are only the 2 players to have a triple-double in the same game. That never happened in a regular season, or it never happened in the NBA Finals, and it never happened in the NBA Finals. Jokic and Murray, both of them having a triple-double, and they on the same team, and it happened in the same game. It never happened in the regular season. It never happened in the NBA Finals, and it never happened in the NBA playoffs. So that is history right there. So this is the best performance from two players that played on the same team together in history. Murray and Jokic been together for 7 years. For 7 years. And we all know that the Nuggets, out-rebounded the Heat 58-33. So you tell me Bam Adebayo had 17 rebounds out of the 33 rebounds of the team. 17 of the 33. They got to do better crashing the boards. They got to do better crashing the boards. Because if they don't crash the boards and if they don't get rebounds, it's going to be a long game for them. It's going to be a long game. Now, we look at the first 2 quarters of this before we get into more of Murray and Jokic. If you look at the first 2 quarters of this game, first and second quarter, Miami was in it. They was going back and forth. They was going on runs. They was taking quality shots. They was moving the basketball. They looked energetic. Denver was countering back. They looked energetic. Their defense was a little bit of lacking in the first half for Denver, but it was a back and forth. It looked like it was going to be a boxing match, round for round. Until the third quarter came. And the third quarter happened where that when it comes down to it, Miami's lack of energy. They got stagnant on offense. Everybody was sitting at the three-point line. The ball was not swinging. The ball was not driving to the basket and kicking it out for a 3. They wasn't doing that. So I'm pretty confused on where Miami went wrong at in this third quarter. Even though they got outscored by 9 points in the third quarter, but Denver took over. Denver stepped up their defense. They stepped up their energy, and they stepped up physicality to beat the Miami Heat and never looked back. Yes, Miami Heat went on a little runs, and Mike Malone had to call timeouts, but Denver kept the foot on the gas until the end of the fourth quarter where Miami was trying to make a comeback being down 10 with a minute left. So we all know that Jokic is the real deal. We all know that. We all know Jokic is going to be the reason why this team wins the championship. Because if Jokic is not on this team, Denver doesn't win the championship. I said it. If Jokic is not on this basketball team, Denver is a mediocre basketball team. I said what I said. They're mediocre. They evolved their offense around Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic, once he's gone and once he's retired, this Denver team ain't going to be the same. Jamal Murray's not going to be able to carry them by himself. Absolutely not. So I just say that to say that. Nikola Jokic is the Denver Nuggets. Him and Jamal Murray. Everybody else is just second fiddle. If you're not going to shut down Nikola Jokic. That's one thing I'm going to give respect to. You're not going to shut him down. He has a nice touch at the basket. He makes everything that you could think of. You can't be physical with him because they're going to call a foul no matter if you're a guard, no matter if you're 5'9" against Nikola Jokic on the switch. They're going to come. He flopped a lot last night, and I didn't like that by him because he's a dominant player. You're flopping against a Jimmy Butler. You're flopping against a Gabe Vincent. No, I don't like that by Nikola Jokic. But do I think he's a dominant player? Do I think he's the real deal? Absolutely, I do. But sometimes he can flop and make himself a little bit soft at sometimes. And the refs let him get away with it. I mean, he's a 2-time MVP. I get it 100%. But I'm not going to sit here and act like he's back to the basket, pure dominance against another big center his size. No. He wouldn't be able to do that against Shaq in his prime. He wouldn't be able to do that against Olajuwon in his prime. He wouldn't be able to do that against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his prime. Because we're in a league where there's a lack of centers. There's not too many centers in this league now. And I get it because we're starting to be a more offensive shooting team. I get it. And I'm not saying Nikola Jokic is a bum, so please do not put that in my words, because it's not. But what I'm saying is, I need him to be dominant without complaining about a foul against smaller guards when he gets the switch. Just dominate, get to the basket, score, and go back and play defense. That's it. You don't have to be flopping at your size against a guard that's damn near 6 foot. No, absolutely not. I'm not taking nothing away from how they won last night. They dominated. Of course. KCP didn't do a damn thing, though. Michael Porter Jr. didn't do a damn thing. Aaron Gordon was a little bit of a difference maker. But Christian Braun, I don't care if y'all say Christian Brown or Christian Braun. I'm saying Christian Braun because that's how it says it on this jersey. Christian Braun had 15 points in this game. It was the key factor outside of all the role players to beat the Miami Heat last night. They had no answer for Christian Braun. And I said it on the show multiple times that if Miami wants to win this game, you have to communicate on defense. And the communication was not there for the Miami Heat last night. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. It just wasn't there for him at all. It just wasn't there for the Miami Heat to be communicating on defense. So when it comes down to Denver Nuggets, they executed and they stuck to their game plan, made a little bit of adjustments, a little bit more high energy in that third quarter, and Miami fell apart in the third quarter. They couldn't buy a basket. Jimmy Butler was the only one really scoring in that third quarter. Max Strus couldn't hit a shot. Gabe Vincent couldn't hit a shot, especially he couldn't be in the game that much because he was having foul trouble on fouls that shouldn't have been called on him. And then you had Bam Adebayo missing shots. Everybody was missing shots in that third quarter. And I always say on the live streams, I always say it. When somebody whoever team struggles in the third quarter loses the game. And we've seen that happen multiple times in the playoffs from the first round to NBA Finals. When it comes to that third quarter does determine who wins and loses the game. Not the fourth. Because we got to see who energy you getting in that third quarter. What energy that you're getting in that third quarter. You don't know. But congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations to them. Yeah, he missed a lot of chippies. He missed a lot of chip shots. Because, I don't know what happened to the energy from the first half to the second half. I just don't know what happened with the energy with them. I just don't know. But I did like the way Denver played basketball. They made sure they evolved around Murray. Jimmy Butler had to go over top of the picks in the 1-2 punch between Jokic and Murray. Miami just didn't have an answer. And I gotta address Jay Will from ESPN real quick. I gotta address him because he said that we need more from Jimmy Butler. I don't understand how much more you want when the man had 28 points. He was the leading scorer. Out of all Miami Heat. So Jay Will from ESPN, what much more do you need from a man that scored 28 points and nobody else is scoring? When nobody else can hit a shot? What else do you expect from Jimmy Butler? Yes, understand that he was 1 of 4 from the three-point line. I get it. But he was 11 of 24 from the field. That's almost the same amount of shots that Jokic and Murray made. Murray was 12 of 22, and Jokic was 12 of 21. They always in the same range. So I'm confused on Jay Will and what he's trying to say there, that you need more from Jimmy Butler when the man was the leading scorer for the Miami Heat with 28 points and 11 of 24 from the field. I'm confused there. You don't need more from Jimmy Butler in Game 3. You need your supporting cast to step up. Your supporting cast didn't step up for him, besides Bam Adebayo with 22 points, but he was 7 of 21 from the field. That's not really effective. It's not. Those 22 points came from the free throw line. Let's be realistic here. Or in the first half. He was in double digits in the first half. Exactly, RC. Jay Will just being pure insensitive. Jimmy could drop 44 without help and still lose. Absolutely. Agreed. 100%. Agreed. There's no way in hell that I'm going to sit here and say that Jimmy Butler needs to do more. You got him. He got us to this promised land. You need more from Jimmy Butler. Get the hell out of here with that. Man scored 28 and nobody else showed up. But you need more from Jimmy Butler. Call out the supporting cast. Call out the supporting cast for Miami. Simple as that. That's what you do. But congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. They won 109-94. Supporting cast got to step up. Kevin Love needs to step up. I think he needs to be more minutes. I don't understand why Eric Spoelstra did not play Highsmith in this game at all until the last minutes of the fourth quarter. I think he brings a high energy defensively. And you didn't have him in the rotation majority of the game. Until what, the last minute and a half? Highsmith should have been in the game. He should have been that high energy on defense. Kevin Love, understand that Kevin Love don't get a lot of minutes because of his age. I get it. But he needs to be out there a little bit more on the floor. If you see, when the Miami Heat has Kevin Love on the floor, they have a possibility of winning the game better than him not being on the floor. If people say that Kevin Love is injured, I disagree. That man looks fine when I saw him last night. But Kevin Love is a difference maker when he is out there on the floor. He makes the team look different when he's out there on the floor. Gabe Vincent got to learn not to be in foul trouble. Duncan Robinson got to demand the ball a little bit more off these screens. But I have to give Denver some credit. They was hip to hip on those pick and rolls. They was hip to hip. Because they didn't want to do that with what happened in game 2. So they was hip to hip. So I have to give Denver Nuggets some credit when it comes to defensively against Miami. Have to give some credit. So, you mean game 4? You mean game 4 and not game 5? Game 4. We skipping a game already. We already played 3 games. So do you mean game 4? Because game 4 is a must-win for Miami. You want to go back to Denver 2-2. You don't want to go back to Denver 3-1. You just don't. Not in that altitude. You just don't want to. So if I'm the Miami Heat, it is a must-win for game 4 to tie the series up going back to Denver. You got to win game 4. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because if Miami loses game 4, this series is over in 5. And I love my Heat culture. I love it, but I got to be realistic. I got to be a realistic basketball fan. And being a realistic basketball fan, you don't want to go back to Denver in that hostile environment, up, down 3-1. You just don't. So Miami needs to go back home and defend their home floor in game 4. They have to. They have to. There's no way in hell you think you're going back to Denver down 3-1 and thinking you're going to force a game 6. Absolutely. I just don't see it. I believe in my Heat coach. I think it's a possibility that can happen. But do I want to be down? Do I want to be down that far? Going back to Denver with my implications that every game is going to be an elimination game? No. No. I wouldn't mind Miami Heat losing a game 7 in Denver. I wouldn't mind that because they competed every game. to get to a game 7. I do not want this to end in 5 games. I just don't. It's a must win with a capital word must. M-U-S-T. It is a must win. If Miami doesn't win this game, this series might just be over. It might just be. So, speaking of the NBA, and speaking of things that's been going on around the NBA, I know y'all heard yesterday about the whole Chris Paul situation. Yes, I said it. The whole Chris Paul situation of him possibly being waived. Now, when I was doing my Nothing But Raiders podcast on my other channel, I was absolutely shocked to hear about this. D-Hop, have you heard the news about Lonzo Ball's knees might be shot? The dude only 25, facing chronic knee rules. No, I mean, I know that he had knee problems, but before we get in, I don't really have a topic on that. But CP3. Now his things of him possibly being waived. And I think this is a weird situation here. I think it's a very weird situation here. Because there's a possibility that they said that he was waived. And then they saying that he's not waived yet. They're in discussions of waiving him. So now that's a weird situation for me for CP3. It's a very weird situation. And I'm going to say it as this. And this is what ESPN had to say about this situation about Chris Paul. They said the Phoenix Suns ownership and executives had a series of conversations with Chris Paul and his representative on the All-Star point guard's future with the franchise on Wednesday, including the possibility that he could be waived by the NBA June 28th guarantee date on his contract, sources tell ESPN. Now, the Suns insist that they're still working through the several possibilities of Chris Paul's future and retirement, which it won't be, which he already noticed and said that he won't be retired. That to his representatives later on Wednesday afternoon, sources said. Now, the Phoenix Suns plans to explore trade opportunities, including Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, that could alter the franchise roster landscape heading into the final decision on Chris Paul's partially guaranteed contract, sources said. Now, for Chris Paul, it's only $15.8 million of his $30.8 million for the 2023 and 2024 season is guaranteed if he is waived. Unless the Suns keep Paul past that June 28th deadline date. Expectations that the Suns will stretch to waive that guaranteed portion of Chris Paul's salary next season, which is $3.16 million per season over the next 5 seasons. So to create more cap space for the Phoenix Suns and the team's ability to use the $12.2 million taxpayer mid-level exception, Paul's $30.8 million for 2024 and 2025 is non-guaranteed. Now, Chris Paul continues want to return to the Suns and partner with his close friend Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, sources said. Neither or less, Chris Paul and his representatives want the organization to make a quicker decision on his future so they can proceed into free agency if indeed the Suns ultimately waive him, sources said. So, basically, what's going on, Anthony Stroud, so basically with the whole CP3 thing, they're just trying to clear up cap space for him. That's basically what this sounds like with Chris Paul. They're not waiving him because they feel like he doesn't have it anymore. We understand that he has the injuries. We understand that he has the injuries in the playoffs when it's critical for his team. I don't think it's the playing ability is the reason why. I think the reason why is the cap space. The $30 million that he's getting. The $15 million that's guaranteed to him after June 28th. So if you heard the breakdown of this, and I can reiterate it back to you real quick. only $15.8 million of his $30.8 million of 2023 and 2024 is guaranteed if he is waived. Then it comes down to that the exception is that the Suns will stretch the waive and the guaranteed portion of Chris Paul's salary next season, which that would be $3.16 million over the next 5 seasons. Then to create more salary cap for the Phoenix Suns and open up the team ability to use the $12.2 million taxpayer mid-level exception. Then Paul $30.8 million for 2024 and 2025 non-guaranteed. So next year, that $30.8 million is not guaranteed to Chris Paul if they keep him for next season. So in that situation, if you look at it, it's not the athlete that Chris Paul is not good. They're just trying to fix the contract. Because what they might do is they might waive him and bring him back on a cheaper deal. They want to go out and go get other pieces in this situation. They want to go out and go get other pieces to help Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. And if you have to do it, if I'm Chris Paul, instead of waiving me, restructure my contract if I'm Chris Paul. Because we all know that Chris Paul is one of the top 5 highest paying players in the NBA. We know that of all time. But we know it when it comes to Chris Paul is this. He still can play ball. And I don't think he cares about the money at this point. He's still getting money from State Farm. He's still got other endorsements. I don't think it's about the money about with him anymore. It's about him winning a championship. And I think he wants to finish his career in Phoenix. I think he does not want to go anywhere else. But what's going on, Snowman Multimedia? But I have to say this about Chris Paul. Yeah, and I heard this from JJ Redick on ESPN when I was watching First Take today. And he said that, because they were talking about the destinations for Chris Paul if he does get waived. And JJ Redick said the Los Angeles Lakers. But stop there. And I'm going to tell you why he said the Los Angeles Lakers. When he played in Houston, his family stayed in LA and did not move to Houston. When he went to Phoenix, his family stayed in LA and did not move. So for not just for playing purposes for him to go to the Lakers, it'll be smart for him to go to the Lakers to be closer to his family. That's the smart thing to do. His son lives in LA. His family lives in LA. You go play for the Lakers to be close to your family. And it's just like what Candace Parker did going to the Las Vegas Aces. Her family lives in Las Vegas. That's why she left the Chicago Sky to go to Las Vegas, because her family, she wants to be closer to her daughter. And that's what Chris Paul should think about. Okay, if I become a free agent and I decide to go to the Lakers, I'm going there for family purposes. Because I'm going in to probably help LeBron James and the rest of this team. But for family purposes, I think Chris Paul would make that move. Chris Paul would make that move. For me, I still think he should stay in Phoenix to try to help Devin Booker and Kevin Durant get a championship. If they could waive him and re-sign him to a different contract with different incentives, a different guarantee, not as much as he's getting right now. So if you want to win a championship, if you want to win a championship with this squad and you want to stay in Phoenix, you'll do anything in your power, get waived and get a contract negotiation and get a different contract, for Chris Paul. You'll have to do that. So for me, I feel like when it comes to Chris Paul and when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, it's a lot of work that got to be done. And it's another team that I have to throw out there that if Chris Paul does get waived and released, I understand this is all the way on the East Coast. I get it. I get it. But this team needs a point guard badly. And that's the Boston Celtics. Now, Chris Paul on the Boston Celtics, that now you actually have a ball handling guard for the Boston Celtics. And just in case if you extend Jaylen Brown, Tatum is going to be there. Marcus Smart's going to be there. So you put him in a lineup with Chris Paul, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, and Al Horford. That's your starting five because now you have an actual point guard in Boston. Even though I don't like the Boston Celtics, I can't stand the Boston Celtics. I don't want him to go to Boston. But if Boston wants to get over the hump and get back to the NBA Finals, it will have to be Chris Paul to get him there. You need a ball facilitator. You need a ball handler for Boston right now. Tatum can't be your point guard. He can't be your wing player. He can't be your two guard. Same thing for Jaylen Brown. He can't be all three. Malcolm Brogdon is not really a starter in his league anymore. And I don't trust Marcus Smart with the ball handling ability. Chris Paul know where to get people in the right spaces. Get people in the right spaces if he goes to Boston. But there's a few other teams that you could think of. But I think Boston and LA and the Suns are the realistic ones to me. They are. But the most realistic one is the Los Angeles Lakers. Just because of his family purposes. And of course, you're going to play with AD and LeBron James. Of course, you're going to play with them. And you got a true ball handler, a true point guard there too. And can we get the notion that they can't shut down this actual second time around if Chris Paul goes to the Lakers? They can't shut it down? Just think about it. They can't shut it down. They can't shut it down at all. They can't. They can't shut it down. Absolutely not. They can't. So when it comes down to Chris Paul possibly being waived, I was shocked yesterday. But at the same time, if they can do some things right, and try to fix this contract, try to go out and get players to come to Phoenix, knowing that Frank Vogel is the new head coach there, you're going to figure out some things. You're going to have to. You're going to have to figure out some things. You're going to have to figure out how this roster is going to look, what they're going to do with DeAndre Ayton. Because I know DeAndre Ayton, they keep saying that they want to trade him. And I think that's a smart thing to do. I think his tender in Phoenix is done. I don't think so for Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul should finish his career as a Phoenix Sun. That's just my personal opinion when it comes to this. But make sure y'all come on in and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, man. It is the Darion Hopkins Show. And we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. And make sure you check out the audio podcasts of the Darion Hopkins Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio as well. So, more NBA news that I have, ladies and gentlemen. More NBA news that I have. And that is buy or sell. The NBA stars changing teams this offseason. Do we buy or do we sell? Now, this is according to Bleacher Report. And they had to say the NBA landscape is definitely about to change. Quite possibly in a dramatic fashion. Because of the whole Chris Paul situation. And it says that star player movement has become nearly a synonymous with the league's offseason as bouncing ping pong balls and unbridled optimism. Now, through free agency in the trades, elite talents and switch uniforms and change championships odds all the time. At the point of the player empowerment era, just about everything feels possible. Now, that adds a plenty of juice and rumor to mill, but it's most likely is a tricky to tell how much substance and rumblings that we really have. So because no matter how active the offseason is, there's always going to be rumors that don't come true. But the time will ultimately reveal them and they will be taking an early educated guess to separate from fact or fiction. We're definitely about to break down the basketball names that might be on the move. Do you buy or do you sell? Let's get straight into it. Cause we're gonna play some music in the background for this buy or sell. So let me know if y'all can hear the music or not. Just let me know if y'all can hear the music or not. Buy or sell, ladies and gentlemen. DeAndre Ayton is not one of them. He's one of them. DeAndre Ayton is one of them. The Phoenix Suns is looking to do buy or sell for DeAndre Ayton. To me, this is an easy buy. It's an easy buy because the Phoenix Suns are almost unrecognizable from that team that spent the top pick in the 2018 NFL draft, the NBA draft, I'm sorry. They changed ownership and coaches while overhauling nearly an entire roster. Of the 23 teammates that Ayton had over the course of his rookie campaign, only Devin Booker remains on this team. While so much has changed around DeAndre Ayton, the center himself hasn't been better or worse. He has been a walking double-double since entering the league and keeps flirting with the 20 and 10 rebound average. And he almost had been a consistent source of frustration with inconsistency of his production from one night to the next and perceived level of engagement. I think DeAndre Ayton has played his last game in Phoenix. I really think he did. I think he played his last game in Phoenix. So yes, I'm going to buy here for DeAndre Ayton because he's still young and you need to go somewhere where he can be developed into the dominant player that he's supposed to be coming out of college. So absolutely, I'm buying here. Number two, James Harden. Now y'all know how I feel about James Harden. Now y'all know the hell how I feel about James Harden. Y'all know exactly how I feel about James Harden. So, which for me, I'm selling on this. There's too much Houston talk to think that Harden isn't considering it. But they say it wouldn't make sense for him to leave Philly. I disagree. I'm selling because I think he's not a great player. I'm not buying into James Harden. Even though the decision lying ahead for James Harden doesn't appear to be much decision at all, it's on the surface at least. But they saying, according to Bleacher Report, stay with the 76ers, he could be presumably spend the remaining of his career chasing the championship with Joel Embiid and the reigning MVP. For Harden, who will turn 34 in August, that seems an idea given a slight decline that he's already showing its potential to snowball at this point. Yet the beard baller is apparently a no lock in to run it back with the Philadelphia 76ers. In fact, according to Shams of the Athletic Report, said that Harden is torn between staying in Philadelphia or returning to the Houston Rockets. Yes, the same Houston Rockets who has the league worst 59 wins to show the past 3 seasons combined. So, what space City could possibly offer him? So according to Shams, he says he cited that Harden's roots is his family and Houston's ability to create upwards to $60 million to $70 million in cap space. So the sell pitch isn't empty, but still is hard to find many basketball reasons for Harden to return or frankly for the rebuilding Rockets if he wants to go back. Then again, Harden's back to Houston rumblings has been around long enough to assume that there's some fire underneath this smoke. Isn't it enough to spark an actual return, though? That feels unlikely, and Harden and the Rockets are 2 different timelines. Trying to align them on the fly could be disastrous for both. Let's keep it real. James Harden, go back to Houston and be a disaster for them. Stop being a disaster for the Philadelphia 76ers. You're talking about you're torn between the Houston Rockets and the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm selling you, bruh. I would not buy into a James Harden. I just would not do it. Sorry. I'm selling on him. Yes, I understand he led the league in assists. I get it. But I don't care about that. He's the reason why this team ain't, the Philadelphia 76ers ain't the team, is my team anymore. That's just being real. Number 3, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, ladies and gentlemen. And when it comes down to Kyrie Irving, this is going to be a buy for me. Or you can sell. But I think you're going to sell here. I think I'm going to switch my vote and go sell. Because Kyrie Irving's future always feel a bit uncertain. But it's officially so right now with his contract and him being an unrestricted free agent. It's awaiting him. Now, based on what we have heard, that the Mavericks have a massive lead so far. We're re-signing a top priority this summer to a 5-year, $275 million that we talked about earlier in the week. So why Irving is even on this list? Because no one is totally ruling out the possibility of him joining LeBron James and Anthony Davis in Los Angeles, despite the word of Lakers being interested in Irving, according to Zach Lowe of the ESPN. I don't think they'll shut the door completely on Kyrie, which the athletic Jovan Buha would say. But the odds are Kyrie Irving landing in LA somewhere to 10 to 15%. So they're not good odds at all. They're just not. But obviously, but they aren't zero, I could say. But while the Mavs need to do everything to show Luka Doncic that they could build a contender around him, they might conclude that it'll be easier to do without making max money commitment to Kyrie Irving. So who averaged 40.8 games played over the last 4 seasons, while the Lakers seem to be prioritizing continuity, it's hard to imagine they'll automatically turn away of the interested star who already won a title with LeBron James already. So Irving probably isn't going anywhere, but you can see why this remains a talking point. So for me, you sell. The Mavericks will pay him whatever Kyrie Irving wants. They're going to pay him whatever he wants. What's going on, young Stingray? What's good? We're going to see here in the show talk about the Denver Chicken Nuggets. You missed the show earlier. I said it. I talked about it in the beginning earlier. Number 4, LeBron James is on this list for buy or sell. Now, you're going to sell here because James is not going anywhere. Because the season observers of this league know the best mindset for the offseason is expecting the unexpected. Even though this recent chatter around LeBron James is completely stunning. It's completely different. First, he told Chris Hayes of Bleacher Report that he'll be mulling a retirement upon completing his 20th NBA season. Then, Chris Hayes goes on to say that even with less predictable twists into the mix of reporting a Kyrie Irving, which we just talked about in the last part, wants the Dallas Mavericks to explore trading for LeBron James. But Clayton Kershaw himself would be impressed by that curveball. There are millions of reasons to dismiss the idea of LeBron James landing in Dallas, of course. But he has to want out of LA. And I don't think LeBron James wants out of LA. He handpicked the city to relocate his family. And I don't think he wants to go away from Anthony Davis. And a co-star that selected already won a title with. So for me, it's no evidence of either these are being true or no reason to believe they'll become true at any point at this time. So for me, LeBron James and the Mavericks are tricky at best, but it's kind of absurd at worst, if you get what I'm saying. The trade budget doesn't reach nearly far enough to get this deal done. And I said it. It's very unrealistic for LeBron James to go to the Dallas Mavericks. It's very unrealistic because you don't want to pay 3 max players and then you don't have a bunch of good role players around you. You don't want that. So you're definitely hard to sell on LeBron James. No, you good, young Stingray. You good. You good, young Stingray. And the last one, number 5, that we just talked about, Chris Paul. To me, it's a soft sell for Chris Paul. The Suns will explore their options, but they won't find a better alternative to keeping Paul on his current deal or on a new one. I have to disagree there. I think you can still find a different deal for Chris Paul to keep him in Phoenix. I think he should restructure and stay there. Monty Williams already left. DeAndre Ayton might be on his way out. You know, Chris Paul is following out the door. It's a possibility. You know, with the $30.8 million salary next season guaranteed, with the rest is set fully guaranteed on June 28th, Paul shouldn't plan on that happening at all. But according to Shams, he said that reportedly that the Suns and Park are exploring multiple options, including a trade, waiving and stretching his contract over the multiple years. That might be $3.16 million that we talked about in his segment, or potentially re-signing him in free agency. And I said that too. And this is a sell. This is a sell. What's going on, Chad? What's up, Chad? But this is a sell for Chris Paul. This is a sell. So that is my top 5s, buy or sell, coming up this offseason. Number 1, I had DeAndre Ayton. It's an easy buy. He played his last game in Phoenix. For James Harden was number 2. You know, they say it's a soft sell according to Bleacher Report, but I say you buy and get him the hell out of here. I will sell him out the door too. I'll buy and sell on James Harden. But that was number 2 for James Harden. Number 3 for Kyrie Irving. The Mavericks will pay him whatever he wants to stay there. And then number 4 is LeBron James, which I think James is not going anywhere. He's going to stay in LA. And number 5, Chris Paul. Like I said, the Suns will explore their options, and they won't find an alternative to keep Paul on his current deal or on a new one. So that is your buy or sell segment by D-Hop Nation. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, man. It is the Darion Hopkins Show. That is your buy and sell segment there of the Darion Hopkins Show. Last NBA topic, and we're going to go into the NFL. Last NBA topic. Are the Nuggets the new Golden State Warriors of the Western Conference? Let me sip my water on this one because this is going to be interesting. Are the Denver Nuggets the new Golden State Warriors in the West? Will the Denver Nuggets build a dynasty in Denver? I don't think they are the new Golden State Warriors. They just the Denver Nuggets. I don't compare them to the Golden State Warriors because they play a game different than the Golden State Warriors. Do I think that the Denver Nuggets can build a dynasty? Yes. I can see it happening. But it's going to be tough to do it in this Western Conference. I don't think they are the Golden State. I don't think they are the Golden State Warriors of the West because I don't like the comparison. If you look at the teams that the Denver Nuggets have right now, they're not the Golden State Warriors. I don't think they are a dynasty of the Golden State Warriors yet. They have to win an NBA title before they call themselves a dynasty. And they haven't won the title yet. So are they the Golden State Warriors of the Western Conference? Absolutely not. The Denver Nuggets are what the Denver Nuggets is. That's who they're their own identity. I cannot compare them to the Golden State Warriors until they actually win championships like the Golden State Warriors. So I can't really make the comparison. Denver Nuggets as an organization has a lot to do to call themselves a dynasty. And people have to fail to realize Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray been together for 7 years already. Now with the Golden State Warriors, they built through the draft. They wouldn't draft Klay Thompson. They drafted Stephen Curry. They drafted Draymond Green. Yes, they drafted other players, and then they got, the Andrew Wiggins of the world, the Jordan Pooles of the world, and, they had Harrison Barnes at one time. But the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray already been together for 7 years, almost a decade in this league. How much time do they have left in the tank? Or in the next 10 years? They have to win multiple championships to be even compared to the Golden State Warriors. So for me, it's a no. I don't think they're the Golden State Warriors of the West. The Denver Nuggets are the Denver Nuggets of the West. They're their own identity. They play basketball totally different from what the Golden State Warriors play. So no, they're not. But can they build a dynasty? If they keep playing like this, yeah, they could build a dynasty. It's possible, but not just yet. We need to pump the brakes on saying that the Denver Nuggets are the new Golden State Warriors of the West. Pump your brakes. Because they're not. Not yet, at least. They got to win championships if they want to be a dynasty in the West. We understand they're the number one seed. They're in the NBA Finals now. But it took Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic 7 years to get here. 7 years. I understand Jamal Murray had an ACL injury and all of that nature. Nikola Jokic had to develop his game. And I get it. But at the same time, we're not comparing the dynasty of the Golden State Warriors and what they've done for the game of basketball. We're not going to do that. We're just not. The Denver Nuggets are their own identity. They are not the Golden State Warriors of the West. The Denver Nuggets are the Denver Nuggets of the West. Being the number one seed and being in the NBA Finals like they're supposed to be. You guys understand that you got Michael Porter Jr., Caldwell Pope. You have Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown, Christian Braun. I don't call him Brown. I call him Braun. You got Jeff Green. You got a team. If you could keep this team around for a while, knowing that Bruce Brown will be a free agent at the end of this season, if you could keep these guys around, it's possible that it can happen. But if you can't keep the same core that you have from this past season going into next season, like the Golden State Warriors have been doing for years now, it's going to be tough to be the Golden State Warriors of the West. So I completely disagree. I don't think the Denver Nuggets are the Golden State Warriors of the West. The Denver Nuggets are the Denver Nuggets of the West. So pump your brakes on talking about the Denver Nuggets are the next Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are the Warriors for a reason, and Denver Nuggets is the Denver Nuggets for a reason. Don't put those two together because you can't. It's no comparison. Until Denver wins championships, then we can have that conversation when they win multiple championships. Until then, they can't. They can't be. But RC Cover says, I say no, but Denver team can win at least 2 championships, maybe 3 championships, possibly. Plus, they don't put threes up like the Warriors. That's true. And he does say the West is wide open. I say the West is wide open, but it's always going to be the competitive conference in the Eastern Conference. Because, of course, you still have those New Orleans Pelicans, if they can have that team get Zion to actually be Zion. And then you got, the Phoenix Suns, what they're going to do there with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. You got the Clippers. What is the determination with the Clippers right now with Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George? You got the Los Angeles Lakers, or what the future is for them, especially with LeBron James probably just considering retirement, but I don't think he's going to retire. and you have Anthony Davis and them boys. They got to think. The Lakers got to think about where Austin Reeves is going to go because he's a free agent. Then you got a Sacramento Kings that's on the come up, young, fast, and physical and ready. So it's tough. It's tough to say. The West can still be a competitive Western Conference. They just can be. They could be a tough Western Conference. They sure can. Absolutely. But I'm not going to say that the Denver Nuggets are the Golden State Warriors. They're just not. They're just not. Zion needs to stop playing around. Like, seriously, bro, it's such a disappointment. It is. And I understand that he's still young. I understand that Zion Williamson is still young. But ever since he had that slip up at Duke where his sneaker fell apart, he ain't been the same since. Zion Williamson has not been the same since when it comes to being overweight and being overweight and eating and doing all this. So when it comes to it, and I don't think he's waiting on his son. And that's what Anthony is trying to say. I don't think he's waiting on his son. I'm going to tell you why. Bronny is not going to be able to play one season at USC. He's not. Bronny's going to need to play multiple years to be a number one prospect for the NBA draft. Bronny has a lot of work to do going to USC. Because it ain't high school ball no more. You're going up against bigger, tougher, and faster players in college. So him going to USC, he might could be the star, but it's really going to look. He really got to look good in his freshman year at USC before he decides to come out after his first year. And me personally, I don't think LeBron is going to let Bronny come out his first year of the NBA if he does not prove himself at USC. If that man is not dominating the college basketball landscape, I do not think Bronny's going to come out in the first round. I mean, or his first year of college. I just don't think so. So when it comes to LeBron James, he's more understanding when it comes to his son. And I was LeBron James. I wouldn't wait around for his son. I would not wait around for him. And I'm going to say why. Because Bronny's going to need about 2 years at USC. He's going to need about 2 years. And I think LeBron James is really focusing on his education more than just basketball. So when it comes to Bronny James, I don't think LeBron James is waiting on his son. I think he's letting his son be patient and let him develop. Because you know what? This is the problem with the NBA. And I think this needs to change as well. This is the only way. This is the only thing I think that a problem with the NBA. And people say they might disagree with this, but I think the 1 year and done in college basketball needs to change. That's just my personal opinion. I think the 1 year and done needs to change because if you a freshman and you average 5 points a game and you enter the NBA draft, how are you gonna make an impact in the NBA? It be players that come into the NBA draft that has not made no impact in their college basketball career after 1 year. And I think now, when you see it, you have the NIL deals, sports now. You don't need quickly to go to the NBA so quickly. You don't need to. You don't need to at all. But I'm going to get my boy Mac opinion on this. And he's here for a little bit.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What is going on, brother? What's up with you?
Oh, man, working hard.
You said working hard?
Yeah, man. I just helped put a nice epoxy floor down that kind of looks like a outer space. Put little glitter flakes to make it look like stars and stuff. So a lot of work this morning, but I'm here now, so that's all that matters. All right. What's the topic you're currently on?
So the topic that I'm currently on, um, I was talking about because they said that LeBron because Anthony Estrada said that LeBron ain't retiring. He's waiting on his son. But I was talking about um the original topic was is the Nuggets the Golden State Warriors of the West, and I said no because they got to win championships and they gotta do it more often for them to be the Warriors of the West. And the Denver Nuggets is just the Denver Nuggets of the West. They have two different identities when it comes to offensive playing. They have two
Yeah.
different ways of they play basketball. So I can't say that the Nuggets are the Warriors of the West when they play two different styles. You just can't. So it went into that, and then I was talking about how the RC was saying that the West is wide open. Then I was breaking down the teams, and I was talking about like explanation. And I came to the Lakers like, oh, LeBron was considering retiring, but I think he's not going to retire. And it got to the point where Anthony Estrada says that LeBron's not retiring and he's waiting on Bronny. And I said that when it comes to USC, Bronny's going to have to tear it up in his first year to even come out after 1 year. He's going to have to ball out. And then I got into the whole segment of I think the NBA needs to change the 1 year rule in college basketball because you have the NIL deals now, and these players are getting paid in college to play the sport.
Yeah. No,
So what's the rush to the NBA for?
and it's crazy you say that because I was just talking to a guy who was upset that college players are getting paid and they're still getting to keep scholarships. He was like, "Well, if they're paying them, then why not take the money out for the schooling?" And I thought that was the stupidest shit I ever heard. I was like, you're paying them for their likeness, for their athletic abilities. You're bringing them
Exactly.
into school because I mean, obviously, you're going to get more boosters and more dollars and more ass in the seats when you have the higher caliber players.
Right.
So it goes hand in hand. Like, just because you pay a guy, then you're like, oh, well, now because I'm paying you, you're gonna have to pay to come to school here. Well, I mean, how long do you think that would work until all the athletes say, you know what, I'm only going to go to a school that's going to pay me and give me a scholarship.
Right. I mean, and that's why I feel like the NBA needs to change the 1 year rule because I feel like you have players that come out as averaging 10 points a game come out after their first year and want to go into the NBA draft. No, no. If you're not dominating the college landscape or you're not dominating overseas, you should not come to the NBA. That's just my personal opinion on it. Yes, I understand that the money is there. You want to make millions in the NBA, but your struggle is going to be a little bit harder now because you didn't really prove anything overseas or prove anything in college.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like if you're talking about once in a generational type player, then it's something to think about. But right now, there's no once in a generational player out there that's in high school. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to seeing another person on like Kobe or LeBron's level, then we can talk. But until then, it's what I mean. I get it, and what I mean. It just to me, I kind of see both sides of it. But in my opinion, it is like they should have to wait at least a year.
I think it should be. I think it should be at 2 years. I think it should be
Two
after your
years.
sophomore year. I think it should be 2 years because if you're getting paid money in your NIL deals, what that's what I'm saying. What's the rush going to the NBA? Like, if you really be honest, in your NIL deals, especially if you have big brands,
Well, yeah. Well, not everybody's getting a good NIL deal. Let's be honest here. There's a lot of players who are getting the absolute bare minimum that they can give.
well,
So I mean,
they getting enough than what they had before NIL deal.
oh yeah, I mean for sure. Well, some are. Some people were making bank before NIL deals. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
it wasn't legal.
We're
I'll
not
say
gonna
that.
go
I'll
into
say
too much of that though, but we don't want no
that.
controversy.
Oh yeah, man. And I'm gonna say this right now. The only reason that the score was what it was last night is honestly the role players really didn't play much of a role in this game. And I can honestly say that for both teams. If you look outside of the starters on the Nuggets, nobody really did much of anything. Like
What
even
did
Brown.
you did not see how Christian Braun played last night?
Oh no! Hold on. I'm talking about the regular guys. Christian Brown showed his ass. That motherfucker showed his ass. Like, I sent the clip in the chat of when he went straight at Jimmy Butler. I was like, man, the cojones on that kid. Whoa! But I mean, I'm talking about like the actual bench. You know what I mean? As a whole, it wasn't that big. Versus the same thing with Miami. It was more like the starters had to carry this game, and I feel like it didn't really click for Miami. And I was waiting, like I thought in the second quarter they were going to make a surging comeback. And then when it was like still like okay, then they got to the fourth quarter, and you see the Nuggets coach, man, he was like, we're winning the fourth quarter. He was really ear hustling them boys, and I feel like that made a huge difference for the Nuggets because the Nuggets were trying
I
to
think it
close
was
out.
before that. It was just a lack of energy. They was not energized in that third quarter. If you go to that halftime of the Miami Heat game, of
And
this
then in the
game, right?
fourth
They
quarter,
was only
like
down
almost
5
half the fans left before the game was even over.
in the
It was
fourth quarter because you know why? Because when you look at the Heat fans, they want to see effort. They want to see energy. And
I no,
they knew that they was not getting
Man,
that in that second
I feel
half.
like a lot of those people were fair weather fans. Oh, we're losing. Oh, we're not winning this one. Oh, all right. There's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Let's get out of here if the traffic gets bad. That's what it seemed like. That's what it seemed like
I mean,
because it
if
was.
you
It was
look at
like,
the game and you sitting there and you pay all that money for that game and your
oh, I'm
team
watching
giving
it
you
to
the
the
lack of
last buzzer. I'm watching to the buzzer.
yeah,
You know,
but if your team is not giving the energy that you know that this team has the potential to give, uh, as a fan, you have to think of it like, yo, like this is our home floor. We was only down 5 at the half, and you let them go in the third quarter and dominate us in the third quarter, dominate us in the fourth quarter until the last minute of the game, bruh.
No, I mean, listen, as a Wizards fan, I can personally. There's been multiple games where I've been on, the Wizards home court, and yeah, they got blown out by 30 some fucking points. And guess what my ass did? I sat in them stands until the final buzzer because you're right. I paid good money for those tickets, and I paid to come watch a basketball game. That's still my home team. I'm still going to support them. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean? As a real fan of the game, I'm going to watch the entire game no matter what it looks like. If my boys are losing or my boys are winning, it's just like, it's the same thing. Like, and
I don't
that's
know if
any game I
I
go
don't
to.
know if I could, man. I don't know if I could because I'm the type of person where that I paid money to give effort. I paid money to give me 110%, and that's what Miami did not do in that second half. They let them get whatever they want. I don't know what the adjustment was, and people got on me because I was questioning Eric Spo on why Highsmith did not play in Game 3.
So I will say this: if you notice, what did they do when they started running the pick and roll with Murray? Who was running with him? They switched it up and stopped letting Jokic do it all the time. They had Gordon running it. They had Porter run a couple times, and you've seen the difference because now, Aaron Gordon's not Jokic. Aaron Gordon is athletic as hell, and he can run and move and keep up. And I think that was a real big difference maker in the game because it was just like shit. Now what are we gonna do? Now I will say this: I do think that Miami comes back and wins the next game. I feel like it's going to be a back and forth series. I have a feeling, especially because Miami's going to be home now. Eric Spoelstra is going to figure out like, okay, how do we beat Gordon now? You know what I mean? How do we defend against these matchups? And how is the best way for us to go against this if this is what they're going to do? So now they're going to move Jokic off and they're going to put Gordon on. So now how can we counter that? And that's why I said
I
it's
feel
gonna
like
be a battle of the minds. It's
I,
gonna be a battle of the minds
I feel like
because no,
Miami had that strategy in the first 2 quarters, and they went away from it. They was only
yeah,
down 5 at the half. That's why I'm looking at this score and looking at it in the third quarter, how they just went out and got a 13-point lead in the third quarter. I'm like, yo, where's your like what is going on here? Y'all were just physical as hell in that first 2 quarters.
All right, I got literally a couple minutes left. What's your other topic that you got going on today? What's your other big
All right, so
topic?
now Dalvin Cook is being released from the Minnesota Vikings. Where will he land?
You know what I'm gonna say. I would I would love to see the Baltimore Ravens go kick the tires. Let's go get them. Let's go get them.
And another
I mean,
topic where we all know CP3 is possibly going to be waived. Where do you see him falling if he does get waived?
so if he gets waived, depending on who really calls out for him, like it depends. Like Mikal Bridges, if Mikal Bridges really feels comfortable with him and wants to play with him again, I could see him going to a Boston. You know, if
I said that in the earlier segment. I said that.
yeah, if the Lakers, you know what I mean, they feel like he can help them out in a way, depending on how they run their system, the Lakers wouldn't be a bad team.
Now I said that too, but the only reason why I said that because his family lives in LA. No matter
Yeah, I
where
mean,
he went, no matter where he went from Houston to other teams, he all his family always stayed in LA.
yeah, no, I mean, and then again, like I know this is gonna sound funny, but the 76ers,
Oh,
depending on what. Hey, listen, he's faster than Harden. He works harder than Harden. At least he tries to play defense.
right.
So
Agreed.
I'm just saying, like, I, to see Chris Paul be able to facilitate to Maxey and Embiid and whoever else they might be able to get up in there, man, that would be scary good. Because, like I said, Chris Paul is much more of a facilitator now than he is a scorer.
Absolutely. That's
So,
true.
so having a guy that's about us and not me would be huge for the 76ers, especially with Nick Nurse. I'm telling you, like I got a feeling that would probably be the best fit for him, especially like I said, if they can get rid of Tobias Harris's contract, even if they, you know what I mean, like get rid of him, cut him, release him, or get him to renegotiate a contract. I don't know what you're going to do with him, but if you could get another guy that could really cut and run to the hole, or at least post up to beside Embiid, dude, that would be scary. But on
All
that
right.
note, I'm sorry I only had a few
So
minutes, but I'm out of here. I'll check in with you tomorrow.
no, you good. I just want to give this fun fact to you before you go. Fun fact before you go.
All
Murray
right.
and Jokic are the only two players to have a triple double in the same game, and that never happened in the NBA playoffs, the NBA finals, or in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
look,
the only
I
two
can
players
say
that have a triple double in the same game.
you can go all the way back to when the first time Jokic and Murray ever played with each other. When it was what is it, the United States team versus the international basketball team.
Yeah.
The chemistry has been there since day one with these guys, and so to see it come to fruition, it's not nothing that like we as NBA love it, like people who love the NBA who understand the game of basketball. Like this is nothing that's super surprising. Like yeah, like we all thought it was possible, but now it is possible. Now it has happened, and I do. For me, I think these two will go down honestly as a better duo than like even Stockton and Malone. I think these two are even better. Like when you're looking at a big man and you know what I mean, like a guard type mixture. As far as I'm concerned, they're the best that's ever played the game together.
Okay.
So,
There goes Matt
all
coming
right,
in for the
I'm
last couple
out.
of minutes. He got to go back to work. So
Peace.
thank you, brother, for coming through. I appreciate it. So Matt had to go back to work, man. Matt had to go back to work and say his topics real quickly. But we're going to get to it now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to some NFL news. And we just talked about it, man. We literally just talked about it. And that's Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be on the move. The Minnesota Vikings are planning to release Dalvin Cook. Yes, they are. They're planning to leave Dalvin. They plan to cut Dalvin Cook after the trade rumors that the Dolphins and the Broncos are eyeing the QB. I mean, the running back. You see Matt come on here and say, "Oh, Baltimore Ravens." But The story behind this is that the Minnesota Vikings are set to release running back Dalvin Cook in a 6-year tender with the team, according to NFL Network Tom Pelissero and ESPN Adam Schefter. Now, Schefter also reported that the Vikings are expected to try to trade Dalvin Cook one more time if they're unable and they willing to officially release the running back on Friday. Now, if Cook is unable to be traded, according to Adam Schefter, reported that the Miami Dolphins, Terry T, you see your team, the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos are expected to pursue him once he's officially in free agency. So the Vikings selected Cook in the 41st overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, where he made the Pro Bowl for 4 seasons, complying 6,423 yards from scrimmage and 46 touchdowns along the way. In 2020, Vikings signed 27-year-old to a 5-year, $63 million extension with $28 million guaranteed. The 2 years later, he rushed for 1,173 yards, 8 touchdowns, and caught 39 passes for 295 yards and 2 scores. Now, Dalvin Cook did suffer a dislocated shoulder in week 3 of the 2022 campaign and played through it the remainder of the year. Now, on February 14th, the Vikings announced that Florida State product underwent surgery on the shoulder injury to address the alignment that had been sustained over the past few seasons, and his agency provided that information. Now, on March, and it's just telling the whole story about what's going on with Dalvin Cook. Back on March 12th, when Jeremy Fowler reported that multiple teams believed that the Vikings be in trade talks surrounding Dalvin Cook. 2 days later, Barry Jackson of the Miami Herd reported that the Dolphins were monitoring his availability. So in May, more news emerged regarding Cook's potential departure from the team. Ultimately, the Vikings had decided to move on from Dalvin Cook after a productive 6-year campaign. As for the team's future, the running back Alexander Madison is in line to start after signing a 2-year, $7 million extension with the team in March. Woo! That's a lot to cover. That is a lot to cover. And I love the fact that he will go to Miami. The question is how much Miami is willing to pay him. And from what I've heard from Ian Rappaport on Twitter, what I heard from Adam Schefter, that shoulder is fully healed and is ready to go. After he had his surgery, it's fully healed and it's ready to go. Now, there's some other teams out there that could really be interested in Dalvin Cook's services when it comes to the salary cap. Now, Miami, I feel like is the best fit because their running back room is not that great. But I have seen some salary caps that the Bears got the most money in the NFL. They got rid of David Montgomery. So the cap space for Dalvin Cook, when it comes to it, the Bears have 32.6 million. The Panthers have 27.2 million. The Arizona Cardinals have 26.6 million. The New York Jets have 24.8 million. The Lions have 23.7 million. So Bears, Panthers, Cardinals, Lions, and Jets have the most cap space for Dalvin Cook. So I don't want him going to the Jets because I think Breece Hall is the guy there. And I understand he's coming off of an ACL injury, but you could definitely count out the Jets going to get Dalvin Cook. Now the Bears. The Bears is an interesting one, knowing that David Montgomery is gone. I don't know who else they have at running back there. I think they will help out Justin Fields. And you stay in a division of the NFC North and go up against your former team twice. That will be something interesting to watch. So the Bears might be interested in Dalvin Cook. And then you have the Arizona Cardinals. I think he should not go to the Arizona Cardinals. If you want to win now, you do not want to go to a debacle of an organization in the Arizona Cardinals. You just don't want that. You just don't want that. The Detroit Lions. I want to say the Detroit Lions, you just drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. You traded DeAndre Swift, and David Montgomery is still in that division with the Detroit Lions. So no, who else is on this list? The Carolina Panthers. I mean, that sounds okay. It sounds okay, but I think the most realistic team for me is out of Denver, which I don't want him in Denver. As a Raiders fan, I do not want him in Denver. But just imagine him with Miami with Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek Hill, and you add on a Dalvin Cook to this offense. You know how much you take off of Tua Tagovailoa if you have a quality running back like Dalvin Cook? That would be insane. But I would love to see, but for me, the best fit for Dalvin Cook is the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. They're the only two teams that is a fit for me. Yeah, him in Miami is cheating. How is considered cheating, Kevin Locklear? How is considered cheating? It is it's kind of considered cheating. But they have competition for the Buffalo Bills and the Jets. Nobody's worried about the New England Patriots. Nobody's just really not worrying about them. But I like Dalvin Cook to the Miami Dolphins. I think it's a great fit. I think he helps out Tua Tagovailoa with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I think it's a smart move to do if Dalvin Cook gets released on Friday. Miami should be the first team on him, and then Denver should look at him. The Bears should look at him. They're the three teams: Miami, Denver, and Chicago. No complaint or any blame, but this is our first take talking about basketball and football, just better facts. I wish I had more people on. My co-hosts, they got lives. My co-hosts has got live, but I'm going to try to find some different co-hosts too, that we can mix and match and stuff of that nature. But yeah, that's just how I see it, man. Dalvin Cook, the three teams that I think he will be a great fit for, especially with the numbers that he had in the last couple of years, especially with his 6 years in Minnesota. Dolphins, Bears, who I say? Dolphins, Bears, and Denver. Yes, Dolphins, Bears, and Denver. So that's basically what I had for today. It's not really too much NFL news that I had. The other news that came out was the Tennessee Titans hosted DeAndre Hopkins for a visit. And this is they hosted him. And shout out to my cousin D-Hop. Yes, his name is D-Hop as well. So yes, that's like my brother. That's like my cousin or whatever. Because me and him got the same last name and our names is close. So yeah. But the DeAndre Hopkins visiting the Tennessee Titans was a very interesting thing. Knowing with their quarterback situation, I'm kind of surprised that he went to go visit the Tennessee Titans, knowing that they drafted Will Levis. They still got Malik Willis, and they got Ryan Tannehill. Now, I know if he goes to Tennessee, he knows that division really well. It makes sense. He was with the Texans majority of those years. And he played against the Titans twice, majority of his career. So going there and let's see what the Titans can do if they could give him the kind of money that the Ravens gave OBJ, basically. But do I see him signing with the Titans? That's a tough one. I just don't know yet. I can't say that. Ryan Tannehill is underrated? Absolutely not. He is overrated. His time is done in Tennessee, Terry. I'm sorry to tell you. His time is done in Tennessee. His time is definitely done in Tennessee. So with DeAndre Hopkins going there, with the quarterback situation that they have, I don't know how much interest DeAndre Hopkins really has. But he's 30 years old. They feel as though that he's not a number one receiver anymore. I don't know. I just can't see him in Tennessee. I just can't. He could come and help Treylon Burks, a guy that the Tennessee Titans did draft a couple years ago. They could be a 1-2 punch. But it's all about who's the quarterback. All about who's the guy. And then we got to think about the uncertainty of Derrick Henry, where we talked about with Derrick Henry possibly being traded. That was a lot of talk about that in the offseason. So it's a lot of uncertainty in Tennessee for DeAndre Hopkins to go there. That's just me. That's just me. But I hope DeAndre Hopkins finds himself a team real quick. And hopefully that he can find a team that he's going to be productive on and don't get the PEDs. And the Dolphins QB is Tua Tagovailoa. That's what the Dolphins QB is, Tua Tagovailoa. And when it comes to it, DeAndre Hopkins is going to explore his options. But of course, he's going to visit the Tennessee Titans, especially if they host them. Especially. But thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. Thank y'all so much, man. Everyone hypes up the Titans. They have no idea what they're doing at QB. Henry carries that team. It might be different this time around. DeAndre said he wants stability, but the Titans been talking about letting Henry go, and the QB situation is unknown at this moment. I don't see him going to the Titans. I don't see him there either. I just don't. But y'all coming so late to comment. Y'all kill me with that. But thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. If you did miss the beginning of this show, make sure you rewind it. Make sure you check it out if you missed the beginning of this show. We talked about the Dalvin Cook situation of him getting released tomorrow. We talked about DeAndre Hopkins going to Tennessee. We talked about the whole LeBron James thing. Is he waiting for Bronny to come out before he retires? We talked about Game 3. We recapped the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets Game 3 recap. We did that. We said, are the Denver Nuggets are the new Golden State Warriors of the West? We said no. They're not. The Denver Nuggets is just the Denver Nuggets. Where CP3 will land. Where would Chris Paul will land after possibly going to be waived from the Phoenix Suns? Do the Phoenix Suns release him and re-sign him to a different contract? Do the Lakers go after him? Do the Boston Celtics go after him, knowing they both need point guards? We talked about that. We talked about buy and sell on here. Do you buy or sell with DeAndre Ayton? Do you buy or sell with James Harden? Do you buy or sell with LeBron James? Do you buy or sell with Chris Paul? Do you buy or sell with Kyrie Irving? And I gave my statements on why you buy or sell with them. So we talked about everything that we talked about on the topics today on the Darion Hopkins Show. Yes, we did, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Darion Hopkins Show. This episode is definitely in the books and has been sponsored by SeatGeek. Make sure you use the promo code DHopkins if you want to go to Raiders games, you want to go to NFL games, you want to go to basketball, NHL, MLB, college. If you want to go to live concerts with music artists like Ari Lennox and rock and roll and stuff of that nature, make sure you go to SeatGeek.com and use the promo code DHopkins and get $20 off your first purchase. And then if you want to get into the betting world, if you want to bet on MLB and all sports, or you want to be on an online casino, make sure you go to betus.com. Go to betus.com and receive 125% of your sports book upon the deposit using the promo code that's in the link in the description. So Across the Pond Sports Talk says Dalvin being released to the release, Fins or Cowboys. I say Dolphins over Cowboys. That's just me. I think he goes to the Miami Dolphins. But make sure y'all follow us on social media platforms. On Facebook at the Darion Hopkins Show. Make sure y'all go on Facebook. If you do have a Facebook page, make sure you hit the follow at The Hopkins Show on Facebook. If you have not followed me on Instagram, make sure you do follow me on Instagram at The Hopkins Show. If you have not followed me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at the D Hopkins Show. And just for all y'all that listen to this audio podcast and watched it, make sure y'all go to Apple Podcasts and search Darion Hopkins Show and leave us a review. Follow us on Spotify at the Darion Hopkins Show. We're definitely there too. We are on Amazon Music and iHeartRadio, ladies and gentlemen. Across the Pond Sports Talk said Miami Sport Year, Heat, Panthers, Dolphins, Dalvin, maybe, and Messi and company is coming to enter Miami. Massive. Biggest news in sports is Messi. I didn't get a chance to talk about Messi. I'm not really too big on soccer like that. But Messi coming to Miami, which I think it was very massive to him to take his talents to South Beach. That was very interesting there. But We'll talk more about it, man. Make sure y'all go get the D-Hop Nation t-shirts are now available, ladies and gentlemen. The link just came into the comments. Make sure you go and get your D-Hop Nation t-shirts right there with the link right there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And tonight, I'll be back at 7 o'clock for the Las Vegas Aces and the Connecticut Sun live play-by-play and reaction, where the Las Vegas Aces is 6-0. 6-0, I think. And the Connecticut Sun is 6-2, if I'm not mistaken. So 2 top 10 caliber teams in the WNBA is going to be playing tonight. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Where D-Hop Wideout will go. Real quickly, he already has a visit to the Tennessee Titans across the pond. I don't think he's going to Tennessee. I don't know where he's going to go at this point. I don't know where he will go, but I got to head out of here, man. Make sure y'all follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure y'all go to SeatGeek. Make sure you go to Bet Us. Make sure y'all go everywhere y'all need to go, ladies and gentlemen. The Darion Hopkins Show is definitely in the books. See y'all tomorrow for Friday. Same place, same time. We out of here. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, man. It's the Darion Hopkins Show. And I'll see y'all later on tonight at 7 o'clock for WNBA. Peace.